welcome to the Oregon Files podcast. First, our disclaimer. We are amateur podcasters simply for entertainment. If we misquote or offend, it was not on purpose to do so. Also, we're recording from an attic spare bedroom today, so you may hear kids, dogs, neighbors, what have you. Thank you and enjoy, and here is Elliot Bowman.
Thank you, Mark. I would also like to say bonjour and thank you to our listener in France.
Huge fan.
I appreciate the comment on the YouTube video. I don't know any other French words but la fromage, which is cheese. So bonjour. Enjoy your la fromage. I've been playing this one game called Wordle. Haven't been playing that?
Yeah.
It's been stupidly addicted.
It's a great game.
Every morning. It's like the first thing I do every morning is I get up and play that. I can't believe how many 5-letter words there are out there, but that's been like a little competition in the household between my wife and I to see who can get it, quicker between us two, and it's been fun. Do you guys, you and Tressa play, or is it just you that plays it?
I played it for a while. I really got into it. I switched to a wood Sudoku game. That's like it's like a mix of Tetris, Sudoku, and just wood pieces. So that's the app I'm playing right now
Wood
when I'm
Sudoku?
on the crapper for half an hour. So.
It's natural. What do we have today, Mark?
Well, the first thing the first order of business is we do need to do a shout out to one of our earlier podcasts was covered New Odessa.
Oh,
and it
good
was
podcast.
About a group that had left Odessa, which at the time was in Russia, and had moved to Douglas County, Oregon to start a colony so that they could live and be free. And since then, Odessa has become part of the Ukraine. And sadly, it was one of the places that has confirmed to be attacked by Russia. So it's just so wild that for a little city I never knew anything about, I don't know how big the city is, but the connection of Odessa, and that we had a podcast about people coming from that area to flee persecution.
Right.
And here we are 100+ years later and having almost the same issue is just mind boggling. The fact that we can connect Odessa to Oregon and to, so anyways, just think about the people in Odessa and the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hopefully all that ends sooner than later.
Yeah.
But it is kind of crazy. We were talking about New Odessa and Odessa recently, and I know it's new in the news, so we're definitely, your thoughts and prayers are with everyone, in Ukraine and everything. So
yeah, very much so. Then, of course, the second order of business, we'll go right into it, is our sponsors. Our sponsor is right now Video Games Plus and Level Up Frozen Yogurt. They're open 7 days a week off Stevens in Roseburg, Oregon. If you haven't been there, you need to check it out. They do a great job with new flavors every month. Some are dairy free. They have over 50 toppings, including fresh fruit. That's a tongue twister.
50 toppings.
50 toppings. Yeah. And they weigh you. They weigh you on the toppings. So don't do what I did and get like,
No, they don't weigh you.
They don't weigh me. They weigh your bowl. Yeah. No. And the other half of the Level Up Frozen Yogurt is Video Games Plus, which has a great selection for hard to find used games. Name a system, they got the games for it. You call them. They can check to see if they have any game, any movie, any Blu-ray.
They'll put games on hold for you.
Yeah. Just a great company with a bunch of great people that work there. In fact, we do think that the owner of the company will be a future interview.
Teasing it.
Teasing it. So that's upcoming.
Hopefully. And hopefully everyone enjoyed the last episode that we did with Dawn and Jenna. It was our first time interviewing anyone. So hopefully it wasn't clunky and awkward like our normal episodes, but we really appreciate them again, sitting down with us and talking about the great work they do with foster dogs, all the stories they had to share. And I know we enjoyed it. So hopefully everyone else enjoyed it. So
yeah, no, it was a great interview. Did a great job. They're just great people. It was a fun interview. I have family members. I know my brother and my sister listen and give me comments, and I really appreciate it. I love running into people in public and are surprised about that we have a podcast, and then find out that they actually like it or are going to recommend it to somebody to listen to. So we love the feedback and just very thankful.
Preach, brother, preach.
Preach. So today we're going to cover, it's going to start off as a shipwreck story, a true shipwreck story, and then ease into some maybe pirate etiquette you got?
Some more shipwreck stories, and then some more information around the Pacific Ocean and the Columbia River bar where ships ran into the bar. And then, I have some pirate dad jokes, of course, because what else would we do in this podcast but dad jokes? And then, pirates etiquette code, a pirate's life for me.
Yes. I only have one pirate joke, but I'll save it for later.
Okay. Hopefully it's not on my list.
Oh, man. I'm so afraid it's going to be. It's a bad dad joke. Okay. Let me start the setting for this story. We're going to talk about this shipwreck. I got to paint a picture. This shipwreck happened in 1808, which is 2 years after Lewis and Clark making it to Oregon. Okay. So it's a long time ago. Now, before that happens, really, America's introduction to the Pacific Northwest coast fur trade occurred on August 10th, 1788, when a ship called the Lady Washington traded with local people for sea otter skins just north of Waukena Bay. And then 4 days later, Gray and his 11-man crew entered Tillamook Bay, flying the American flag. It's the first recorded American landing on the coast. Now,
interesting.
Very interesting. So up until this point, sea otter fur was, when it was discovered and it was good for trade and that kind of stuff, it exploded because the sea otter fur was the most sought after. And which meant then anytime something's sought after and there's money behind it, you're going to get some illegal stuff.
All right. A little black market.
You got to go black market, right? And back then there wasn't really probably the regulations. Like you could just, sadly, they would go to town killing sea otters. I
love sea otters, by the way. Sea and river otters. They're adorable.
Yes. I love this. I love sea otters. I love river otters. Sadly, they pretty much hunted them to near extinction on the Pacific Northwest, especially in Oregon. There's a couple times, like in 1978, they tried to reintroduce sea otters, and it didn't go well. But they only put like 22 out there, but it didn't go well. So right now, Oregon doesn't have any sea otters. I think there's still some in San Francisco, and I think there's some way up north, up in the northern Washington area. But the fur trade really kind of wiped them out for Oregon. Now, we know when the first time they were kind of discovered. So we're going to go late August 1808. America's already a country, 1776, revolution, okay?
Established.
So we're established. Now, we don't really care for the British. But guess what? The British want fur as well. They want some of that sweet sea otter fur. Again, I think I ought to say that again. Sweet sea otter fur. So they launched a ship from England, went down around, all the way down, South America, came up and are trying to be sneaky to sneak up to the West Coast. The funny part, they were so brazen about it, they actually called the ship the Sea Otter.
Because nothing says sneaky like a 50-foot ship.
Yes. It came from London to Oregon. It was a 170-ton ship. They only had about 13 people on it. It wasn't that big of a ship. I think they called it like a swoop or something like that. So it wasn't a huge ship. What happened was they docked at the edge of the mouth of the Umpqua River in Douglas County, and 4 guys got off, and they were expert fur trappers. But they weren't trapping fur at that moment. They're actually just getting off to get meat so the guys could eat. So they're going to feed the ship. So these were their 4 best hunters. Okay. All British. Okay. So the 4 guys get off there. They're gone for a couple hours and trying to find some game, right? They come back in the middle of a surprise August storm that sinks the ship. They literally come around the corner and see the ship sinking. The 9 guys that were still on board are gone. You now have 4 illegal British guys on the west coast of the United States, 1808. No one knows they're there, okay? Because the other thing with the stuff is they kept the stuff secret. They would not say, a lot of times they even lied to their own family members, like, hey, what are you going to do? Like, I'm joining
We're just going to go take a trip.
Yeah, just going to go a trip. I'm going to get some spice or something like that. Because there was such a cutthroat thing, they weren't very quiet about it. So no one knows they're there. Now you have these 4 guys, late August, winter's coming.
Yeah.
So
could you imagine their reaction when they walked around the corner of like the bush and their ship's like sinking and they're just like holding like a piece of steak? Oh, Raja, I think that's our ship.
Yeah. I mean,
what should we do now?
The gut punch is just nuts. Yeah, it wiped off they say the sea otter was gone, wiped off the face of the earth.
Oh, that's karma for you.
Yeah.
You go hunt some, you go do illegal fur trapping, sir, and your ship is going to sink.
Yes.
You sunk my battleship. Is there a British version of battleship?
What would you still call it? You still call it battleship, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Battleship governor? Is that what it is? Now, they knew that no one was going to come looking for them, and it would be years before any other ship would even come to this remote place on this wild and dangerous coast. So they're stranded. So now they got to find a way. What do they do next? So what do you think they do? You're 4 British guys. You're stranded in a country that doesn't like you.
You work on your American accent for 1. Change your clothes for 2. And I would think if you're a good expert fur trapper in that time, maybe people look the other way and they just work with you anyway.
Yeah, if you got some sea otter fur,
Yeah.
That's sweet sea otter fur.
That sweet sea otter fur.
Now, they only had the clothes they were wearing, the rifles they were carrying, a total of 6 pounds of gunpowder and 20 pounds of lead, and whatever might float ashore from the shipwreck.
That's not a lot. That's not a lot of provisions.
These 4 stranded fur traders were about to embark on impossible and most remarkable overland journey of the century. Over the next 2 years, they would walk and occasionally float from the mouth of the Umpqua River to the site of present-day New Orleans.
Do you think they had any idea where they were going?
So here's the backstory of it is they knew that there was still some trade happening in New Orleans with British ships. They knew that was going to be their only
They're looking
out.
For another British port or something like that.
Yes, it was only, or hoping they'll be friendly and can get there. So these 4 guys spend 2 years. They did make it. All 4 of them did make it. It took 2 years to get there. Now, everything we know about this journey, here's the crazy part was when they got there, there was no more trade with the British. They were not there anymore in New Orleans. They were going off rumors that there were British ships in New Orleans. So they, you're right, had to pretend to be American.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a British ship for 30 years.
So they walked from they walked?
They traveled. Yep.
They hitchhiked. They just went everywhere. They went from Oregon to New Orleans and took them 2 years?
Took them 2 years. Everything we know about their journey was in one of the lead guy's journal. And he kept it secret because he didn't want to be found out. So by the time they got to New Orleans, they did practice. They had their American accents ready.
So he didn't tell the other guys he was keeping a diary?
I don't know. I would imagine he would because they're around the fire and that kind of stuff.
Boy, Marty sure spends a lot of time in that tent.
Yeah, the journal was done by a guy named Baptiste Lavelle.
Oh, I was so close.
So the 4 guys were, Baptiste Lavelle.
That is not English.
Isn't that great? Michael Connor. That one gets
That's
away.
definitely English.
Jean Loger.
No, that's French.
And Emmanuel Silver.
That does not.
Okay, those are the 4 names. Now, the crazy part is the whole thing is so secret that these could be made up names, to protect maybe their real names if they're
definitely made up names. Yeah, those are their aliases.
Exactly. Yeah.
Michael Connor. I mean, that sounds like an 80s pop star.
They walked 3,000 miles, met some friendly Native Americans that would help them and that they would trade with. And other times they were actually captured by other Native Americans and they were held hostage. There's no way of telling which route they chose to get to New Orleans. Lavelle's journal, which told the story in some detail, has been lost.
So where is that?
The missing journal's hard because at first you're like, then the story's made up.
Right.
If you don't have proof.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
So that's the hard part. So this is a story I really tried to do as much research as I could because to me it's phenomenal. Like this is the Revenant,
Right.
I found clippings from the New Orleans paper where this guy found this journal after the guy died.
Oh, okay.
And published excerpts out of it.
Okay.
And he knew the guy before he passed away. Had no idea this guy had this story, this journal.
Does it say how many shoes he went through?
No, the journal's lost. That's the thing but the guy who found it just published little snippets of it in the paper, which once again, I thought, well, he's just doing, this is just a story he's publishing.
All right.
That kind of stuff. No, there's documented proof. Native American tribes remember seeing the 4 guys. So you got accounts from Indian tribes saying, yeah, we ran into them. They were nice to us and traded. So these guys were good at trading. It was their profession. So hopefully they were good at it.
That's like the ultimate road trip. Do you think that every year after they left New Orleans, they went back and had a cup of coffee, 4 buddies going back to the spot where they had a shared memory?
The funny part is I think they tried to distance themselves when they got to New Orleans because they didn't want what's going to be found out. 3 of the guys settled down and lived here the rest of their days. 1 guy did get back to England. They think when their journey, they might have gone south and crossed the Rockies into New Mexico. Travelers following the interstate highways to Louisiana typically do today. Or they might have gone straight across the Oregon high desert and crossed into southern Idaho. Yeah, whatever route they chose, they came across deserts, swamps, and dense forests.
Did it say how that ship sank? Their ship that they originally on?
It was a thunderstorm. It was a real bad storm. So probably in a small ship like that with I imagine the sails
capsized or something like that.
Yeah, probably just one good gust of wind. I mean, just knocked that thing probably down.
They weren't ready for the Oregon coast wind.
Not at all. This is one of the ships that's probably only surprised that they made it from Britain all the way to America is one thing.
Right.
But yeah, they didn't expect a storm, so they probably didn't have their rigging right and stuff like that.
That would be so crazy.
It just it blows my mind. Like I was starting to think, the more I read about this and trying to figure out the backstory, to come around like knowing that you're on the other side of the country,
right? And
this isn't like cell phone times. This isn't no one knows
There's
you're there.
No way to communicate.
Yeah,
it takes 4 months to get a letter somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. You don't even have stagecoaches yet.
I mean, did they have families like in England? I mean, you're probably thinking I'm never going to see anyone again. They had to have.
The mariners spent the winter of 1809 to 1810 somewhere northwest of present-day Amarillo, Texas. Perhaps they stopped to stockpile food and fuel to make it through, or perhaps they found a friendly tribe to take them in for the season. We don't know. What we do know is that in the summer of 1810, found the 4 of them floating down the Red River to Mississippi and down the Mississippi to New Orleans. They arrived sometime in August. It had been almost exactly 2 years.
You don't like seafood, right?
I'm allergic to. I found out my first day at Umpqua Bank when I got a job that we celebrated. I got a cool job at Umpqua, and we went and celebrated at Skipper's, which you don't celebrate at Skipper's, but I did. And I had coconut shrimp for the first time.
Oh,
so good that I overindulged, had an allergic reaction, was at the ER all night, and I did my second day at Umpqua Bank, had not slept the night before.
That's a tough way to find out you're allergic.
The worst way. And the way the doctor told me was that not so much that I'm probably allergic to shrimp, it's the fact that I'm eating what the shrimp ate.
Oh.
So if the shrimp ate something bad, I'm eating something bad too.
You never tried to eat it again to see?
No.
Not from Skipper's?
I gotta be real careful.
Yeah.
I've had halibut, no problem. I love halibut. How about you? Seafood fan?
I like seafood. I was just thinking I like a good jambalaya or a good gumbo. So when they got to New Orleans, that's because we're such foodies, you and I. That's the first thing I would do. Or crab cakes. I would be looking for a delicious meal to have.
I love that that's your one question is the first meal they have when they got to New Orleans. Hey, yeah, you were traveling.
Beignets.
What they eat?
Right.
Actually, I would. My wife knows that if we somehow lived in the South or something like that, and how much the food is so rich, and I'd been dented, 5 years ago. Now, there's also reports that Sea Otter was not the real name of the ship.
Well, that's obvious from all the guys' names.
Changed for protection. Suggesting that after they got home, they kept their mouths shut. So my sources are, there's a book by Don Marshall called Oregon Shipwrecks, published in 1984. Early Adventures in Oregon, some of the newspaper clippings were from 1852 when they started getting published. A lot of my information also comes from a new website I found called, I think it's called WeirdOregon.com that had some of these stories.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that is the story I wanted to tell. I would love to see this made into a movie. I would love to have that journal found.
Right.
To validate some of the stuff and see what it is.
Hey, listeners, if you know this story, hit us up at OregonFilesPodcast@yahoo.com.
It's only been lost for about 150 years, the journal. So
hey, you never know.
It could be in a library.
Well, it could be somebody's family. Yeah. That's what I mean. Somebody found it, like in an old clothes chest or something like that. And behind a picture frame. You're always hearing my stories. I found the original Van Gogh behind this Walmart picture frame or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. I had an estate sale or something.
That's what makes me want to go to yard sales and estate sales, just to find that treasure.
Right.
It
happens.
It happens. I had, when I was growing up, one of our teacher's aides at my elementary school, she would go to yard sales every weekend, and she got this old painting, and she thought for sure it was something important. Mm-hmm. And she took it to get it appraised, and turns out it was really heavy. And when she got it appraised, the guy goes, the painting's not worth anything. It's a copy. And, he goes, but your picture frame is solid gold. And they think it was sadly stolen by the Nazis.
Oh, really?
Melted, and then painted this really god awful green color, so no one was suspected.
No one knew it was gold.
Yeah, but they dropped it when he was appraising it and shipped it, and that's how they found out that it was gold.
Oh man,
she retired.
Sold it, right? Yep. 24 karat.
Yeah,
sold it.
What other shipwreck stories you got, El?
I'm going to start off reading a little bit about the Columbia River Bar, because that is kind of a known rough area for ships throughout the history. Actually, since in 1792, approximately 2,000 ships have sunk in the area.
Woof.
It earned the nickname the Graveyard of the Pacific. Water, weather, and geography work together at times to make this bar treacherous, and I actually found a lot of this information on the OregonStateParks.org site. The Columbia River flows right into the Pacific through a narrow channel. Mm-hmm. As the river water surges towards the ocean, it slows down, dropping sand and silt. That sand and silt form a fan-shaped sandbar that extends more than 6 miles into the ocean. Because of strong river discharges collide with heavy Pacific waves, it makes the passage very extremely dangerous for all vessels. The weather waves are notoriously violent and quick to change. Before jetties and dredging, 23 feet was the maximum draft for ships crossing the bar. Whoa. To provide greater safety, engineers had to deepen the limit to 40 feet. This safe limit is still affected by wind and wave conditions at the bar. And if you go to the Oregon coast, there's so many great places to visit. There's countless amounts of lighthouses to go visit. These are just a handful that you can go check out. Fort Stevens State Park, which is kind of up northern coast area, along with Cape Disappointment, and the Columbia River Maritime Museum. They have a lot of cool information on the shipwrecks that I'm about to talk about. And the first one is the Laurel.
Okay.
In 1929, gale force winds drove the heavily laden SS Laurel off course and onto another shipwreck. It literally drove it into another shipwreck.
Wow.
Onto the Peacock Spit in June.
Yes, the Peacock. Yeah.
The storm intensified and giant waves severed the forward third of the ship. Lumber, ship fragments, and fuel littered the ocean. Amazingly, only one man died. Now, one of the most famous ones that you can actually still see up by Cannon Beach, Oregon, and that area up there, it's the Peter Iredale.
Yeah, beached in 1906.
1906, that's right. October 25th, 1906, another British sailing ship. It was en route to the Columbia River to pick up shipment of wheat. Around 2 a.m., the crew spotted the Tillamook Rock Lighthouse just south of the Columbia River's entrance. The ship's captain, H. Lawrence, wanted to wait until daylight to cross the dangerous bar, but dense fog made navigation difficult, and he mistakenly thought that the ship is actually 50 miles offshore. Ugh. By the time he realized that it was dangerously close to shore, it was too late. The Iredale landed on a sandbar off the Clatsop beach where it stuck. No one died, which is good, and the wreck instantly became a local attraction and a landmark. So, takes us to the Peacock, which the other one ship ran into. In 1841, the USS Peacock was a major setback for the United States exploring expedition. The U.S. Navy sent the United States exploring expedition to survey the Pacific Ocean from 1838 to 1842. The Peacock's captain was navigating with an out-of-date nautical chart that didn't show that the Columbia's channel had shifted. Boy, buddy, if you're going to be an admiral or captain, you got to update your charts.
He got the map of the Dollar General.
Right. Striking the sand spit. What is a sand spit? Near the northern entrance, the sloop broke apart overnight. The crew survived, but the ship went down, leaving behind the name of the Peacock Spit at the river's entrance.
Amazing. Do you have the one on the USS Shark?
No.
Okay.
Please.
Yes. So another Navy vessel came to its end near the Columbia's mouth in 1846. The schooner USS Shark. Part of the Shark's wreckage had 3 cannons that floated south and gave rise to the name Cannon Beach.
Oh, I love Cannon Beach. It's such a pretty area.
Isn't that crazy? The survivors of the mishap, all on board actually survived, came ashore in present-day Astoria and carved their names on a rock, now known as Shark Rock.
Huh, that's cool.
What's even wilder is 20 years later, in 1866, when another ship called the Industry sank, Shark Rock received another inscription because the guys popped up on the same beach. And so above the Shark,
that's awesome.
The other ship, they said how many survived that one. They lost 17 and saved 7.
Have you seen Goonies?
Oh, yeah.
The end where the ship comes out of the cave, the cove, it's filmed right there at Cannon Beach.
Yes. Great, yes. A fire engulfed a steam schooner, J. Marhofer, off of Yakina Head in 1910. The ship's boiler came to rest in what became known as Boiler Bay, just north of Depot Bay.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite shipwrecks.
Those are your favorite?
Those are my favorite.
Those are your favorite. Those are your childhood memory shipwrecks.
Did the Peacock one, I mean, did their sails, that would have been awesome if their sails looked like Peacock.
The Peacock, they were not that creative.
I'm not happy.
Well, we can't talk about shipwrecks without talking about pirates.
What?
I know, it's astonishing. So, thank you to the people out there that do a lot of research and piracy work, not stealing, videos and DVDs, but different kind of piracy. Golden age of piracy.
When it was good. Yeah.
This is what I found it on. So apparently there was a lot to being a pirate, and you had to have a certain code. When you boarded a pirate ship, that captain set a certain precedence, a certain code, almost kind of like an Articles of Incorporation. So before the pirate ship left port, all pirates collaborated and signed a document called the Articles of Agreement, which is also known as Pirate Code.
I love this because I don't think all the pirates could read or write.
Right.
But at least
and they all had to agree on it. How long did that take? The Pirate Code was a group of rules that all pirates had to follow aboard a ship. Some of these included things like keeping one's weapons at ready at all times, not smoking near gunpowder.
Okay.
There's definitely...
Checks out. You got to document this stuff. It's procedure.
There was curfews for drinking and partying below deck, efforts to curtail gambling, which created internal conflicts. Overall, pirates were pretty democratic, but the punishments for breaking the agreed upon articles was often severe. So this was taken from Captain Bartholomew Robert, was actually known as Black Bart.
Yeah.
So Black Bart's code is given because he is probably one of the most successful pirates. He captured over 400 ships in a 3-year span. This code was most likely enabled many of his successes by keeping everything fair and avoiding mutiny and problems with the crew.
Is this published somewhere? Like his article? Because this reminds me of like the art of war. Like this should be like something that's taught to people. If you're that successful, maybe you got something going.
Yes, and we're about to find out more. Every man shall have an equal vote in affairs of moment. He shall have an equal title to the fresh provisions or strong liquors at any time seized. Of course, I love how they toss in the liquors at the end.
You gotta be fair about it.
Every man shall be called fairly in turn by the list on board of prizes. But if they defraud the company to the value of even $1, they shall be marooned. Even if any man robs another, he shall have his nose and ears slit and put ashore where he shall be sure to encounter hardships.
Which is crazy.
Wow, that's a harsh penalty.
That's so wild because I love the fact that like you did something bad, we could just kill you and throw you overboard, but we're actually going to stop our ship. Right. Let you off, give you the chance to make it.
This puts piracy in a totally different light for me.
I'm kind of...
I don't even want to read the rest of it. I'm going to.
I really thought that... Now, wasn't Black Bart the one also like, if they got a slave ship that was coming to America and rescued slaves, that the slaves became equal members.
Yeah.
Equal members. We can't get that right in today's country. Yep. And here you got a pirate... Yeah, okay, go on. I love it.
Preach. None shall game for money either with dice or cards. The lights and candles shall be put out at 8 at night. Even if any of the crew desire to drink after that hour, they shall sit upon the open deck without lights. So you can drink. You can't have lights on while you drink. But you got the sun. All right, excuse me. You got the stars and the moon. You got the ambiance of the night sky, but I love it's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
I mean, what a
nothing to do with like starting a fire. Just that they just wanted the night sky to really,
I mean, 8 o'clock. I mean, come on, man. Each man shall keep his piece, cutlass, and pistols at all times clean and ready for action. Makes sense. No boy or women to be allowed amongst them. Can't have any boys or women. If any man shall be found seducing any of the latter sex and carrying her to sea in disguise, he shall suffer death.
Wow.
That is straight.
Because every pirate movie I've seen has women on board.
Right.
Now, so, okay.
Right. And some boy.
Lied to me.
And there's a boy. There's a boy that's, a kid to one of the pirates.
Captain Kidd, right?
Captain Kidd. He shall not, excuse me. It was like the 10 Commandments. He that shall desert the ship or his quarters in time of battle shall be punished by death or marooning. Do you get the option of death or marooning? Because I definitely choose marooning.
I choose marooning too.
And can we do like marooning like on the like Bahamas?
That's what I was gonna
Can
ask.
you drop me off?
Where do they get marooned?
Right, exactly.
It's like the last meal that they get.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm going to go
Hawaii.
Yeah,
Right, exactly. Yeah. None shall strike another on board, but every man's quarrel shall be ended on shore by sword or pistol.
Checks out. Once again, I don't see anything wrong in the bylaws yet.
No man shall talk of breaking up their way of living till each has a share of 1,000. Every man who shall become a cripple or lose a limb in service shall have 800 pieces of 8 from the common stock, and for lesser hurts proportionally. Wow, that is super specific.
So that's awesome that even though they became crippled,
right, they're still
going to get a cut.
Right.
Once again, all right,
have 800 pieces of 8 from the common stock.
I feel like this is a little bit better than some of the.
I mean, this is better than the part of the Constitution.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
The captain and the quartermaster shall each receive 2 shares of a prize. The master gunner and the boatswain 1 1/2 shares. All other officers 1 1/4, and private gentlemen of fortune 1 each share. I have no idea what any of that means.
I was going to say the boatswain's such a...
What's a boatswain?
A boatswain?
And private gentleman? I mean, that sounds like...
Well, that's very clear what that is.
Exactly. The musicians shall have the rest. The musicians shall rest on Sabbath. So they have musicians just on board?
And they get a day to rest?
On the Sabbath. So they're Jewish. I mean, good. L'chaim.
But I love it. Okay, all I can see is a bunch of pirates gathering around, and they're talking about these things, and the musician's like, "Can I have Sunday off?"
And what do they play? Fiddle on the pirate?
Sea shanty.
Do they take requests though?
Oh yeah. Do you know the one? Yeah.
Right.
I know 2 songs.
Right.
Exactly the same.
Yeah. What's Piano Man but pirate? I don't know. Do you know Pirate Man? Do we want to do? You want to do some dad jokes? You want to move on to something else?
Do our, 2 questions.
We'll end on the dad jokes.
Yes, we'll end on the dad. So
we'll end on the dad jokes.
So we decided we're going to split up the questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up with one. You're going to come with one. I'm excited about this. My question is, because we're talking about ships, is have you ever been on a cruise?
I've never been on a cruise.
Would you ever want to go on a cruise? And I know this question is scary because
it is.
Pre-COVID, maybe.
That's where my mind went.
Yeah, post-COVID, maybe not.
Right. I would go on one. Yeah. I would only go on one if I had good quarters.
Yes.
Like I would make sure I would. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not going to bottom deck here, Titanic.
Yeah.
You know, I would want to make sure that I'm, putting out enough money to, I'm feeling comfortable. What's the living spaces on a cruise? Isn't it kind of like cramped or whatever? But isn't it like all you can eat and drink, that kind of a spiel?
See, that's exactly it. So I think you and I are going on a cruise for the same reason, because I would go on a cruise. I want to be able to hit the buffet,
right,
and go to my room,
right,
watch TV,
and just
go back to the buffet.
But I want like a balcony, some space I can just like relax on.
Yeah, I don't want to be in a hot tub with like 20 other people. That want to see, that's
right.
I don't want to. Yeah, I'm the same way with you. Now there are theme cruises,
right? And
I heard there's like a Magic the Gathering theme cruise. I would love that.
I heard there used to be a Walking Dead one where you can go on cruise and it's like part of the cast.
Yeah,
you
the cast
take
is
your
there.
cruise
You
with.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Carnival ones look kind of cool from the commercials because it's just like 8 decks of like pools and like what's the surfing that you can do. It's like the surfing simulation or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'd probably give it a shot.
It would. I'd like to go see what ports. Go see the touristy areas. Like
see, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Do like a cruise like around Alaska would be cool.
Yes, yeah.
And then
now, can you do a cruise up the Oregon coast to look for that sweet sea otter fur?
I did. It's funny. I looked it up recently. You can do a cruise up in the Columbia River.
Okay.
Actually, we're thinking about doing that. Nothing as extravagant as like the Disney cruises or whatever, but you can still like take that kind of cruise. Yeah.
Remember they had a Bigfoot special cruise.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And then I think it would be kind of cool to do a cruise to like New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
I know somebody that did that recently and had a great time. So
I bet the food's good.
Long story long, right? Long story long, I probably would do a cruise.
I love it. Yeah, I'm in.
I would think you probably get good deals after everything that's happened and everything. I think they're probably trying to get more people cruising it.
It's funny because I thought they were actually having like a like they're getting booked or overbooked. The same thing's happening with Disneyland right now, where people like were so cooped up for so long that like Disneyland's, I guess, like max capacity for like the next like 5 months. Like it's hard to even get like tickets and that kind of stuff because everyone's like, oh, I was cramped for 2 years. I need to go out.
And I heard they're hiking up the prices. I don't know. I'm not a big Disney. I'm not big.
I would go for the
I'm
Star
not a big
Wars.
Disneyland fan, but yeah.
Now,
the crowds.
Too many crowds.
Yeah. I'd probably have to wait a little bit to go, but
yeah. I'm one of those people. I'm not at that old man stage now where I want to go right when it opens. And I'd probably be done and just walk around for a couple hours with a cup of coffee or something.
Right. You got to pay for like the fast pass.
Yeah. What's your question, El?
Keeping with the theme of pirates, I want to know, would you rather have a wooden leg or an eye patch? But the eye patch has to be covering, you don't have an eye. You can't just take it off for like, I'm going to go watch a movie or something. There's no eye underneath that. So really the question is, would you rather have, I guess you can word it, would you rather have one leg or one eye, but the one leg...
Is it at the knee down?
Knee down.
Okay. Knee
wooden
down.
Leg.
I'm going peg leg.
You're going peg leg?
I want my depth perception.
Yeah.
I love my eyes, that kind of stuff. I think we don't live in a time where I have to run from bears or swim from sharks. Like, I'm trying to think, having a peg leg would be a little annoying sometimes, but I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun to clank it on floors when I'm in a safe way and stuff,
It'd be very intimidating.
Yeah. How about you?
I would have to go wooden leg also. I just make sure I wasn't standing too close to fire pits. You don't want to get your wooden leg going up in flames.
But what a great party trick. If you like lace it with some like gasoline first and then all of a sudden your leg catches fire.
It's like a tiki torch, but it's your leg.
You're not going to feel it burn.
That's true. Do you have like legs on stock?
Dang it.
Like mahogany wood?
You buy like 12 at a time.
Right.
You screw in. They screw
I hope we're not offending anyone with wooden legs out there, with peg legs.
I got some wooden leg questions now.
Do you really believe George Washington had wooden teeth? Was that a real thing?
No, and actually, do you know what the true story is?
No, I know this is a totally different subject, but
it's more messed up than the wooden teeth. The wooden teeth was a ploy. They found he didn't have wooden teeth. He actually used they pulled teeth from slaves.
Oh,
and made him dentures out of slaves' teeth. And there was actually they found ads in the paper for back then that said, "Hey, we'll pay for teeth." And they would pay like if you were like white or something like that, they'd pay more. And they would say for Negroes, we'll pay you like half price. And if they couldn't get enough people to do it, then they would just go find them and pull the teeth. And so, his dentures were actually slave teeth. They weren't wooden teeth.
But the sea otters were okay though, right?
The sea otters with their sweet
fur. Boy. Wow. All right. Okay. Yeah. On that note, we can lighten it up a little bit with some dad jokes.
I'm gonna throw mine out there first.
You do yours first. Okay. Yeah.
What type of what's a pirate's favorite type of sock?
I was so happy that's not on here. Type of sock.
And I hope I tell this joke right, because now I'm realizing maybe it's favorite type of sweater.
I can pause for a moment while you think about it.
His favorite type of sock.
I don't know.
Argyles.
I saw that one earlier. I was gonna. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
That's my joke.
Yeah. What's a pirate's favorite fish? I'm putting this so you don't just look at it. Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's a goldfish. I read these to my wife Chelsea earlier. She was like, "You're actually gonna read these?"
That's amazing. Like to me,
said, yeah. What do you mean? We read dad jokes. And I said, you would know this if you actually listen to the podcast. We have one supporter out there, and she is not my wife. She doesn't want to listen. That's fine.
That's okay. I got 3 kids, and my kids are like, "Oh, what are you doing?
Right?
What's your friend coming over for?"
But we appreciate you French mincer, listening to our podcast.
Yeah, the guy in France. All the hearts.
What's a pirate's favorite class?
I don't know.
Art.
Wow.
So bad. How did the pirate get his ship so cheaply? I've got no idea. It was on sale.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
Well, it's got to be R. I mean,
you would think it's the R, but it's the C. I knew another one. You would think it's R.
Perfect.
Yes.
What does a pirate wear at Halloween?
I got nothing.
A pumpkin patch.
Solid.
Okay. Yeah. What do you call a pirate who skips class?
I don't know.
Captain Hooky.
That checks out. I like it.
What's the best name for a pirate dog?
I don't know.
Patches. All right, last one of this. Why couldn't the pirate crew play cards? Why couldn't the pirate crew play cards?
I don't know.
Because the captain was standing on the deck.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's
Best
those are so terrible.
So good.
Those are so terrible. Thank you, internet, for writing terrible dad jokes.
There's nothing wrong with it. I love it. Thank you once again, listeners. Elle, where can people find us?
You can find us anywhere where you get a podcast. Platforms such as Google, Amazon, Alexa, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora. I think we're out there. YouTube. Thank you. YouTube. Yes, YouTube. Mark does a great job. He puts out the podcast on YouTube. What is it? Or just Oregon Files?
Yeah, Oregon
that you
Files
find on
podcast.
YouTube.
The thing with YouTube is that YouTube only cares about the most popular, most clicked videos. So if you look up Oregon Files podcast, you may have to go through a couple pages.
Okay.
But then you'll find all. This will be what, our 15th?
I think this is our 15th.
Our 15th podcast. You'll find them all kind of grouped together. Elle's daughter did the artwork. That's the first thing you're going to see is the beautiful logo. Oregon Files podcast is on Yahoo or on YouTube
and Facebook. It's on Facebook. Just look at Oregon Files podcast. And if you want to get a hold of the show, if you want to sponsor us, and we'll absolutely discuss it with you, just hit us up at OregonFilesPodcast@yahoo.com. And again, like Mark said, we can't even tell you how much we appreciate everyone listening and giving us feedback. Even if you're lying, we appreciate you telling us you like it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you specifics. If you say, hey, you listen to podcasts, you say, yeah, I'm going to call it good.
Right.
In my mind, you enjoy
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you so much again.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, cheers.